my church, and there are a lot of furnaces in this church. And this particular furnace is an Amana. I think the blower motor is going bad in it. I'm just going to show how to remove a blower motor and replace it in one of these furnaces. These furnaces are pretty standard, really. I mean, these are pretty run-of-the-mill style gas furnace. But even electric furnaces or removing a blower motor is typically, it's the same job regardless of what style furnace you're doing it in. So some of them, it's a little bit different here and there to do certain things, but most of it is the same. So what I'm gonna do first, so we know the power's off. That's the first thing you want to do. I'm gonna unplug these plugs. It's gonna be a little tough with lighting and holding the camera and everything, but it's really pretty simple. So I just unplugged all these Molex plugs, and already you can see I'm fairly well isolated. The circuit board and the fan motor. So this is all one unit. I'll just unhook this low voltage wiring and we'll pull this whole thing out. So if you don't know, on your low voltage wiring, and this is pretty much standard across the board, but you've got Y, W, R, G, and then your C. So in heating and cooling, HVAC, Y is your cooling circuit, W is your heating circuit, R is your power from the transformer, right there. G is your fan or your blower motor, and C is common. Okay, so the other thing to remember is on your yellow or your cooling circuit, you've got two wires. Typically, you'll be using a red and a white here, and these are the two wires that go out to your contactor for your air conditioner. So you want to make sure those are hooked back up. But your white to your W, your red to your R, green to your G, and it doesn't really matter what color you use for your common. Sometimes on a 5-wire system like this, they'll use blue. Whoever put this in elected to use brown, it's fine. Just remember that that's the one you're using when you go to hook up your thermostat. So we'll pull these out of the way. So now I need to get that screw out, and there's another one right back there I need to get out. This is one of those things where an engineer somewhere, a guy that's never worked on things, designed this furnace and thought, well, instead of maybe putting the circuit board in the middle where I could then, a service tech could get to this screw, I'll put it over here on the side, and now it just makes it harder for anybody to get to it. Luckily, the industry makes a lot of tools because overzealous engineers don't seem to remember that. Even though I'm an engineer, but I'm not a design guy. So, maybe I should be. So now this will pull right out. You want to be careful because you got a couple wires on here for safeties. Okay, so this motor is 1, 2, 3. It's 4-speed. Typically you've got high, medium high, medium low, and low. So end, typically, you're gonna have your high speed on your air conditioning and your low speed on your furnace. Sometimes you might go to a medium low depending on, you know, maybe you want more air. You want some more volume of air coming through. They typically run low speed in heat so that the air moves slower across the heat exchanger and picks up more heat. And so the slower the air moves across the heat exchanger, the more time the air has on the heat exchanger to do that heat transfer, and it picks up more heat that way. So this is a PSC motor, permanent split capacitor. I'm gonna unhook it here. So you can see on the circuit board, it's got the spot for cool. It's got the spot for cooling, and it's got the spot for heat, for whatever motor leads, fan speed you want. And then you need to unhook your common. I always try to put my screws back in where I got them so I don't lose them. Okay, so we'll turn this over. And on this side, I've got a set screw. A 3/8 wrench will get these things undone. 3/8 open in. And I have a feeling this one's going to be a pain to get off, so I brought my fan blade puller. I'll show you what that does here in a minute. So I've got an attachment nut driver for my drill, which makes it real nice. So that's already, I can tell it's gonna be a bear to get off. So I'll flip it over. This is a squirrel cage puller. You set this right on this hub, and you'll lock it down, and you want it to be even. So I go hand tight until everything looks even. And then I tighten them down. Sorry, I'm fighting a cold, so I'm sniffling. And then you'll take a big wrench, and you'll just turn that, and it'll start pushing that shaft down. Put our set screw back in. We don't want to lose it. And then the only thing left to do really is take your mounting bracket off. So this motor is a 1/2 horsepower, 115 volt, single phase. That's all important. 1075 RPM, that's important. Most motors nowadays have You can reverse the rotation on them, so that shouldn't be an issue. But half horse, 1075 RPM. That's what I want. And then if there's a frame on here, that would be good. I don't see a frame, but most of these things are pretty standard, so. Alright, we'll get it ordered. Alright, so we got our new motor. Here's our new motor. Brand new. Let's get it installed. These things can be a pain in the butt sometimes. But what I like to do, you got to get it in between the wires, of course. You want to get it in the middle. Okay, so that's on. Okay, we're gonna put everything back the way it was. We're gonna drop the motor in there. Got our mounting hardware. We had a washer come out, there it is. Okay, got our grounding screw right here. And our new capacitor. Okay, so there's our new capacitor. Now we'll just start wiring it up. So on these motors, your brown wires are your capacitor wires, always. And it doesn't matter which way you hook them up. Black is high, and that's what we want our air conditioner to be, so we'll put that on cool. And we've got red for low and yellow for medium low. There's no yellow, so that's going to be orange, sure. We'll put the orange on heat, because I think low is too low. And then your common will be your white, of course. You want to put that on your neutral. Okay, so what else I'll do is I'll take all this excess wire, kind of fold it up like this. And I wish I had wire ties, because I'd rather use wire ties than tape, but we're just going to tape it. It's going to be fine. Okay. I've got these 2 wires left. I'm just gonna snip those off if I should ever need them. I'll just put new ends back on them, but I won't, I'm sure. I'm gonna wire nut those off. Flip this over. Okay. One of the things you want to do, you can see where the squirrel cage is right now. It's hitting, so we got some room to move it back. And you just kind of want to center it up. You got your set screw there that you want to get lined up on the flat part of that shaft. And then you can put your squirrel cage right in the middle. And then we'll tighten that up. Alright, we are ready to reinstall this thing. A couple little slots it's got to go into. That little slide. Okay, everything's lined up. We've got our 2 screws that held the thing in place. You all better?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's in. So we just need to reconnect our plugs, first thing. Again, we got our common was brown, and our white from our air conditioner is going to be common on that side. So we'll go ahead and hook those up. G is green. That's our fan. So when you kick your thermostat, on your thermostat it'll say fan on auto. When you kick it to on, that's what gets energized and brings the fan on. Red is R. That's power. White W. That's your heat. So power is brought from the circuit board here to the thermostat. And at the thermostat, when you flip it to heat, that power goes through the thermostat to the W terminal, brings on your heat. When you flip it to cool, power goes through the red wire to your thermostat, through the yellow wire, and brings on your air conditioner. Something else to remember is when you're hooking up an air conditioner to a thermostat, the thermostat brings on the fan in air conditioning mode, but in heating mode the furnace brings on the fan. So it's just something to remember. I think we're ready to test this, so I'm gonna put the fuse in. Okay, so one thing I want to do, I want to test the rotation. And this ought to be going clockwise from the shaft in. So I'm going to bump it right here. I'm going to jump it. See which way it's spinning. And it is going clockwise. From the shaft in. And that's what I want. Because it's going to scoop the air and push it down. It's the downflow. Okay, so it's showing cool on. We're going to turn that off. Put the doors back on. the fan is on and running. Alright. I think that thing's fixed. Looks good. I'm just gonna clean up and call it an evening.